All right, you know, with this whole Bernie Kerik thing, talking about the nanny problem and immigration stuff, our next guest talks about how if we don't revamp our immigration laws, we will all suffer in the long run.
Michael Wilds is a former federal prosecutor. He's now mayor of Englewood, New Jersey, and he's an expert in immigration law. Michael, good morning. Welcome.
Morning, Judge.
Here.
Morning, Steve.
With respect to his nanny, what did Bernie Kerik do wrong? What should he have done in order to comply with the law?
He was part of the national ambivalence, if you would, that we have for these wonderful people. There are 2 points of exposure a person has when they employ somebody who doesn't have the authority to work. First is with the IRS, the other one is with the immigration authorities. Simply put, a homeowner has to pay half of the Social Security. It represents 15% of the salary, 7.5% is the employer. And you have to inspect the papers and complete what's known as an I-9 document showing that the person has the authority to remain in the United States. From the first day of hire, you cannot keep that person in your employ or hand them a dollar, check or cash, without the authority.
And of course, it would be tough for Bernie Kerik to head up the immigration department if he had this nanny immigration problem. But we were talking the other day here in the building, and you said that you have spoken to senators' wives who they have employed, unbeknownst to the public, these very prominent people have employed illegal aliens, and some of the wives have said to you,
well, I'll tell you what happens. It's quite remarkable. You're sitting in your office a few blocks from the studio, and this has happened countless times. Judges, police officers, politicians, wives, or sometimes husbands will sit there and say, if the housekeeper goes, you might as well go with them. They're staying, you're going. And you have no idea the passion that people feel for these individuals who have no political voice, who have no sense of how to help themselves.
But these wives, these family members acknowledge, you know, this is illegal, but, you know, we're in the public eye.
Immigration, unfortunately, is only enforced at the borders. We have porous borders. We have millions of people, hundreds of thousands of shipments that come in weekly. It's so important that we revamp these laws so that we have a good departure control. We don't know when people actually physically leave America. The question is, how do we treat these nannies? How do we balance? What is the challenge that Congress has now? Simply put, to make sure that we don't lose our flavor as an immigrant country, but at the same time policing our borders. And anybody who steps out of line of not having a visa is merely punished administratively. It is not criminal to overstay a visa.
Are you saying then that Bernie Kerik didn't do anything differently than almost everybody else who wants to give employment to an alien?
Judge, yes and no. Yes, he didn't do anything differently than most of the people, unfortunately, throughout our nation. No, he should have done it differently because he has a public trust. As I am a mayor of a city in New Jersey, it's very important that you keep that trust, that you obey the law. Certainly if you're going to be representing the government whose responsibility it is to enforce it. But these are the lost souls. And the problem is that because our president, because our Congress has not risen to the level of an immigration vision or a revamping of this process so that we meet that challenge of being both an immigrant community but one that wants to police it and make sure nobody steps out of line legally, we will have these folks caught in the loop.
As mayor of Englewood, could we possibly get the key to the city?
What would you do with it?
Well, I'm wondering if I should give the key to the city. It looks like I just followed a horse and I'm coming before a monkey. So, is that because I'm a Democrat?
That's right.
You're a good man and you have a very big heart, Michael.
Michael Wilds, former federal prosecutor and immigration attorney, we thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure.
Good luck to you. All right, Judge, straight ahead, our chance to win a free TV, courtesy of that monkey.
Right there.
Stay tuned.